Hi, good morning everyone. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the CIMA strategy case study. In this episode, we move from context into the market reality. And this is where many students lose marks, not because they lack knowledge, but because they become too optimistic or too generic. CIMA is not testing whether you like electric vehicles. CIMA is testing whether you understand how markets actually transition. The focus today is simple. We're looking at the EV market exactly as CIMA presents it in the pre-seen and understanding what that data is really testing. This session helps you avoid writing answers that sound positive but lack commercial realism. The pre-seen gives us very specific market data. It says 17 million EVs sold globally in 2024. EV represents 25% of new car sales. The market is valued at 250 billion dollars and adoption varies significantly by country. And this information is not decoration. It exists to test how you interpret growth, not whether you can repeat statistics. The signal here is very clear. This is a growth market, but it is not the stable one. Demand is uneven, policy-driven, and heavily dependent on infrastructure and the consumer behavior. If your answer treats this as smooth, predictable growth curve, you will lose marks. This slide captures the difference between low and high scoring answers. Our low scoring answers always say the EV market is growing rapidly, whereas the high scoring answer says the EV market is growing, but the adoption is uneven, policy driven, and constrained by infrastructure and consumer behavior. The second statement is judgment, not description, and this is what CIMA rewards. CIMA explicitly highlights that EV adoption varies widely by geography, and that immediately creates strategic risk. Strategy cannot be one size fits all. Production planning becomes more complex, capital allocation risk increases, and these are the strategic issues and not the operational details. And this uneven adoption matters even more for the Cewmlator because Cewmlator operates globally. It sells only BEVs. There is no hybrid or ICE fallback if demand weakens in a region. This is a classic strategic concentration risk and examiner expects you to identify it. Many students misunderstand the ICE ban here in this pre-seen. Yes, governments plan to ban new ICE sales after 2030, but the pre-seen is very clear. The existing ICE cars can still be used, can still be traded, and demand for ICE vehicles remain high. And this is not a sudden cliff edge. The transition from ICE to EV is slow and non-linear. It is politically influenced, it is consumer dependent. Any exam answer that assumes a rapid collapse of ICE demand will be penalized here. CIMA is testing realism, not the optimism. The pre-seen is explicitly said about why consumers hesitate. First, the purchase price. EVs remain more expensive than ICE vehicles due to the battery costs, R&D, and the new components. Even though the price gaps narrowed, it remains significant. This creates elastic demand. Consumers delay purchases rather than switch immediately. Range anxiety is particularly interesting over here. The pre-seen tells us the average journey in Duxland is only 15 kilometers. Only 1% of journeys exceeded 150 kilometers, right? Yet consumers still worry about range, and this tells you something examiners love. Perception matters more than data. Charging infrastructure is another major constant in the pre-seen. Home charging is cheap and convenient but requires off-street parking. Public charging is more expensive, inconsistent, and can cost more than petrol or diesel. This directly affects the rural areas, apartment dwellers, and lower income households, again reinforcing uneven adoption. Battery degradation creates a long-term trust issue over here. Over time, batteries lose capacity. That affects vehicle range, resale value, and the consumer confidence. And this is not a technical issue, it is strategic demand risk. Cewmlator mitigates this risk with an 8-year, 160,000 kilometer battery warranty. Batteries are replaced if range falls by 20% or more. And this is not a generosity. It is a calculated strategic risk management designed to support adoption and protect the brand trust. When the exam asks to recommend expansion, investment decision, pricing, or the market entry, you must show awareness of few things like consumer hesitation, infrastructure gaps, policy uncertainty, and the cost sensitivity. CIMA generally rewards balanced recommendation and not EV evangelism. This is the examiner logic. Growth doesn't equal certainty. Transition markets require careful judgment. High scoring answers are evidence based and grounded in the pre-seen. If your answer reads like a newspaper article about EVs, you certainly will fail. If it reads like a board meeting, no one will stop you to pass. You will be scoring with high colors. In the next episode, we move into the different types of electric vehicles, call it BEVs, PHEVs, HEVs, and MHEVs. And more importantly, why CIMA included this section even though Cewmlator sells only BEVs. That section is far more strategic than most students realize. I'll see you in episode 3. Till then, goodbye, enjoy, and think strategically.